Hello everyone and welcome to yet another video where we are continuing to solve the FM pre-June mock exam of 2026. This is the second case study from the section B of this paper and it is Haytop company. So let's get started. Just reading the very first requirement briefly, EOQ has been asked. So I can ascertain that this question is testing me on the working capital unit of my syllabus. The very first question is from the inventory chapter. So let me read through the case study. It tells me that Haytop company manufactures electronic components. It is reviewing its inventory management policy in order to support the board's recent request to reduce its overall cash operating cycle. So cash operating cycle, quick concept revision. Cash operating cycle is simply the time it takes for the business from once you are spending money on your raw materials to actually receiving cash from your customers. So the cash, once it goes out from the company, how long does it take to come back to the company? That is the cash operating cycle. One approach discussed in a recent meeting is to switch to a more just-in-time policy of inventory, the JIT system that they are talking about, which would be a move away from Haytop's current approach of holding high level of inventory. So right now we are holding high level of inventory to reduce the risk of stockouts. The finance director has expressed concerns about Haytop overtrading and how to identify this before it becomes a bigger issue. Currently, Haytop places orders for raw materials of 50,000 units per month. The cost of placing an order is $200. The holding cost is $50 per unit per year. The purchase price is $10 per unit and the supplier has offered a bulk purchase discount of 0.5% if the order quantity is increased to 80,000 units. So the very first requirement wants me to calculate the EOQ for the Haytop. So even if you guys don't remember the formula, here you have it given on your formula sheet. So your formula sheet tells you that the EOQ formula is, you take your cost of ordering into 2 into the annual demand divided by the cost of holding. So all the information that I need is already given to me over here. Let me just place it a little bit further to the side so that you people can see the numbers as well as the calculations. So this is the formula that we have to apply and I can open my calculator right over here. So firstly, I need for my numerator, I need to multiply 2 with the cost of ordering. So cost of placing an order is 200 and this needs to be multiplied with D. D is actually the value of my annual demand. So how much is my annual demand? It's being told to me that I place an order of 50,000 units per month. So that means my monthly demand is 50,000. So 50,000 times 12 months that we have in a year, this is what my numerator looks like. And then this needs to be divided by my denominator, which has to be the cost of holding. You can see over here in this formula. So the holding cost is given as 0.5 per unit per year. So I hit enter. This is the number that I come to. And now I have to calculate the square root of this. So to calculate the square root, you simply use the raise to the power button and you raise it to the power of 1 by 2. You hit enter and this is your final answer. You have to answer in the nearest units. So 21909. This is going to be my final answer. Very simple application of the EOQ formula. Which of the following best describes the primary objective of successfully reducing the length of the cycle? So why do I want to reduce my cash operating cycle? First of all, to maximize my credit sales by offering generous credit terms to customers? No, guys. Remember the formula that we have learned for the cash operating cycle. So we have learned that cash operating cycle is actually equal to receivable days plus the inventory days and minus the payable days. So guys, if I am offering more and more of credit to my customers, that will increase my receivable days, that will not reduce the length of my cycle. So first option has to be eliminated. Secondly, to increase the company's liquidity by converting all non-current assets to cash. No, we do not have non-current assets as part of cash operating cycle. Third statement says to minimize the external external finance required to fund the day-to-day operations? This looks absolutely correct because the cash operating cycle means how long does it take for the company to get the money back. So if my cycle is shorter, I will receive my money back quickly. So I will not need to borrow a lot of money from outside of the company to use for my day-to-day operations. Then guys, last but not the least, the fourth option tells you to ensure that the company can eliminate its buffer inventory quickly or entirely. No, that is not also what is the objective of cash operating cycles reduction. So the third statement has to be my answer. Now we move ahead to the third question based on this case study. What is the net financial effect of accepting the supplier's bulk purchase discount of 0.5% for orders of 80,000 units compared to the current policy of ordering 50,000 units? So what I will have to do over here is draw a comparison between my costs, which I'm paying right now, versus what I will pay if I go ahead with the discount. So let me do my calculation. Let me first talk about my present scenario. So in my present scenario, I will first be paying my purchase cost, then I will have my holding cost, and then I will have my the ordering cost. Yeah. So let's see what these costs are going to look like. So first of all, if I talk about my purchase cost, I am purchasing 50,000 units per month. So 50,000 times 12, this is the total number of units that I'm taking in the entire year. And right now the purchase price is $10. So multiply this by 10. That means this much amount of money I am paying right now as part of my purchase cost. So it's $6 million. I'll write over here, purchase cost is $6 million. Then I will do my working side by side. We can also do our working for the discount scenario also. Discount scenario. Guys, you do not need to show your working so clearly in the examination because in section A and B, you do not have any marks available for your workings. So I am just doing it over here because I want to show you people how this question is calculated. But in your exam, please do not waste time in typing these things out. You can do your calculations on your pen and paper and you can come to your answer quickly. So the purchase price using the discounted scenario will be, I'm going to receive a discount of 0.5%. Now guys, still I'm going to purchase the same number of units that are demanded annually. I have an annual demand of 600,000 units that we had calculated earlier. 50,000 multiplied by 12. So 600,000 units is my annual demand. Now here I am going to pay a price of $10, but I will also get certain discount. So 1 minus, I'm going to get a discount of 0.5%. So I will write 0.005. So then I get to know that my new cost over here is going to be $5.97 million. So I'll write my purchase cost. It's 597,000. So this is what my cost looks like. Now I can calculate my holding cost as well. So for the holding cost, it's given to me 0.5 per unit per year. Holding cost is applicable on the average of my inventory. Currently, when I'm purchasing 50,000 units per month, my average inventory is 25,000 units. So 25,000 units multiplied by 0.5, that tells me that currently my holding costs are $12,500. Then I can do the same working for my new scenario also. Under the new scenario, I will be purchasing 80,000 units in one go. So my average inventory will be 40,000. Multiplying this with 0.5, this tells me that my holding cost will now become $20,000. Then guys, I have to move to my last working, that is about my ordering cost. So it's being told to me that the cost of placing one order is 200. But how many orders do I need to place? I am placing orders monthly in this case. That means I'm placing 12 orders in a year. So 200 200 times 12. Right now, my ordering cost is $2,400, 2,400. And then I have to calculate how much it will be under the revised scenario. Under the revised scenario, I am ordering 80,000 units in one go. My total demand is 600,000 units. I am placing an order for 80,000 units in one go. That means I will have to place 7.5 orders in the entire year. So multiply this with 200, you're going to get your ordering cost as $1,500. So now you can just total both of the scenarios. So here the total is going to look something like this: 6 million plus 12,500 plus 2,400. So this gives you 60,14,900. And from this, I need to take away the discounted scenario cost. So if I go ahead with the discounted scenario, 5,970,000, 20,000, and taking away 1,500. So this gives me a saving of 23,400. Whatever my total is, this total is lesser than this total by $23,400. So I'm going to receive a net benefit of 23,400. This is going to be my final answer, guys. Now moving ahead to the second last question basis this case study, I have to select which two of the following are typical symptoms of overtrading. So first statement is a rapid increase in revenue. This is absolutely right. What happens in overtrading is business tries to grow their sales faster without having the enough capital to do that. So the companies, they run out of cash, they stop paying their suppliers on time so that they're able to survive, because of which the payable days also increase. So I see another option, increase in the trade payable days. The other two options that we have, increase in the current ratio, will mean I have more current assets than current liabilities, which is not true because I have a lot of payables over here, and my high cash balances are also not there because practically the company does not have any cash when they are overtrading because they don't have the working capital to support the level of sales. So high cash balances is also not a feature of over trading. Now moving ahead to the last question basis this case study, which of the following statements is true regarding JIT? Haytop company uses a JIT system. Okay, so it increases the holding cost due to high buffer cost. Guys, let's first quickly revise what happens under the JIT system. So JIT system tells you should not keep any inventory at all. Just go for production in time. So whenever the customer places the order, then you start preparing the goods. So it increases your holding cost? Absolutely not. It actually reduces your holding cost to very minimal or nil because you're holding low or zero inventory. Second statement says it shifts the responsibility of quality control largely to the supplier. This is absolutely right. When I'm using JIT, I have to, have that reliance on my supplier that they will sell me high quality supplies, because as it is, I am starting my production very last minute. So if they send me the wrong quality of the goods or the wrong goods as raw materials, then it will further create delay and my order will not be possibly fulfilled. So this is absolutely right. Let's have a look at the other statements also, why they are incorrect. Third statement says it reduces the reliance on strong relationship with suppliers. It's actually the opposite of that. If you want to operate JIT, you should have very strong relationships with your suppliers. Another is it is more suitable for companies with unpredictable and fluctuating demand. This is absolutely not, guys. If you have the JIT at your company, you are keeping way too little inventory. So if you are keeping way too little inventory, you are also, not ready to supply with unpredictable orders as in when they are coming in. So this is actually more useful for those companies where the demand is more predictable and the demand is relatively stable. So this is where JIT system will be most applicable, and hence we have to select the second statement as our final answer. So this over here, guys, was the second case study from your for your FM pre-June mock of 2026 exam. I'll see you people in the next video where we will solve this mock further. I hope that this video was helpful for you. Bye-bye.